Hey, everybody. Just wanted to share with you today Keith Pinkerton of Mr. Electric of Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Chattanooga. Did I miss any?
Yeah, you got them.
Got them all. Well, he's a great client of mine, and we came to work together. He's actually at my Build Your Operating Manuals workshop when I did that, a while back. And so we got to working on the manuals, which is always one of the great 7 powers to be working on. In particular, we came to do some other things. So I'm going to talk about ancient history, which at this point is about 3 months ago, before all of this started. Can you share about what it was like to, run your organization that had already become pretty big and scattered in different places without manuals and without the systems that we put in place?
Well, without systems that we put into place and everything and running it, obviously there was a lot of chaos and, different areas doing things different, whole lot of stress. Nothing really went the way you wanted it to. And obviously, it's hard enough to run a business just when you're underneath and when you're in one city, but when you're in 4 different cities or, 3 when we actually started the manuals, we were in 3 different cities and, not having a written plan of this is the process of how you do everything. It really complicated matters a whole lot. And, we actually were able to implement that system and come up with the manuals or, with your leadership and guidance, sir, and use your manuals. And, we were actually able to acquire another territory and actually went pretty good for us, in the process of it. But there again, we had the manuals already in place at that time.
Yeah, it does help you leverage. I like to think of it as like, if you have a really good house, you want a really great foundation to build on and then replicating. Yeah. And even at the main shop, which you guys were great, but, then you end up having to see everything and micromanaging. You hear yourself repeating the same stuff day in and day out. And my experience, which I want you to share, is that with the manuals and having them trained at every position on the org chart, if you will, you didn't have to find yourself repeating the same stuff, even at your own shop, the main branch.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what they're for is to have a process and to follow the process. And so, yeah, you're exactly right. As far as my stress level and everything, it's definitely went down since since we've implemented the manuals, and I create a lot of that reduce and stress reduction due to the manuals and implementing those manuals.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. So let's talk about the new times.
Yeah.
And the challenging time, which, I like to think of as it separates, the really good companies from the bad companies. And as I've shared before in many places, there's going to be some opportunities coming out of that, which is hard to believe because right now we're all in the, the survival mode, but things that you need to do. So what have you done using the manuals to tweak this particular situation, whether it's the CSRs and how they answer the phone and how they educate customers, how your dispatchers tweaked, and even maybe what the techs, because I know you and I were very careful about making sure they had, PPE stuff long before it became fashionable about 2 months ago.
Yeah. Well, basically, of course, the CDC and, it's ever evolving, very fluid. It changes, but, there again, when it does changes, all you got to do is just, put the systems in, and implement them in the manual. And so, and then tell everybody, hey, this is how we're moving forward and this is what we're going to do. We're actually implementing some changes this week. So, it helps. You've got it. You've already got it in place. Your people are used to using it. So it just really helps. The other thing that was really, something that was really, what I call an extra golden nugget to the manuals that you didn't really realize as we went into this. And, obviously we started to see our sales go down and, and we were watching the call volume and what's, percentage of call volume, where's our sales going? And so, we automatically, started looking at, okay, how do we, what does this look like over a long term? And, do we have to cut employees? And so, and I go back to 2008, 2009, when we cut those employees, that was devastating. I mean, we cut a ton of overhead out. And, and when you're looking at this right here, it's, you've got everything in your manual. So when you start a cutting process, you can easily sit there, this go around, you can easily sit there and say, hey, these are the positions I need to cut. Here's my, my employee ratio that I need. And these are the people that's going to do the jobs, and here are the manuals to do it. And so, we haven't, had to go to that at that time, but, we might, depending on what happens. But, not only be able to have a process and change everything, but then to see, hey, if I do need to cut overhead, we've already got it planned out. And it wasn't that way in 2008. I think if we have to cut, it'll go a whole lot smoother than what it did, 10, 11 years ago.
I have two thoughts. One is, did you ever think you'd finally look back on 2008?
Yeah.
The second thought is that, what a great point here, Keith, is when I had downturns, not, quite as bad, which is just can't be in business and not experience that, but I had so many people cross-trained for those boxes on the org chart that, I could slide people in and out. I already had depth. I could adjust it. And what you were so good at understanding about is the staffing ratio. And, when you're going and growing, it's a whole lot more fun as the company is going and growing. But, you need to be able to navigate these times. And then, like any good manager, you're already starting to look ahead as, well, when we come out of this, what's going to be different? And if you have this in place and the mindset is already starting to set up in place, you're going to come out and, believe it or not, make more progress in the times ahead. Right now, and I head down, we understand that, but what you're looking out ahead is it's just so much easier and not having to deal with the things day to day. So is there anything else? I'm sorry, go ahead, Keith.
One of the things, if I had the manuals, if we could go back to 2008 and knowing what I know now, I would have probably slept a whole lot better during those times than what I did. So, but no, it's the manuals, it's an investment that we made, and very proud that we did it, and it's been a game changer for our business like we thought it would be.
Thank you so much for sharing, and encourage everybody. Stay safe. Send my regards to everyone.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You as well.